Hey, kitty cats. I have not done a live reading in so long. I figured it was time. Maybe do 10, 15 minutes. People talk about this all the time, but I have never actually read the book, The 5 Love Languages. I'm not like a huge fan of, I don't know, saying like you have to be one type of something. Like, I think love is a language, but I think it could be a good tool for communication as long as it's not used for control, right? All right, meow meow. Okay, meow meow. She says she agrees and she might help us. So I'm just going to jump on here in the middle of the book, page 66. That's where I turned. And do you want me to come? Do you want me to come give you a hug, kitty cat? So, okay, so this is I'm just going to tell you the names of the chapters. Once again, this is Gary Chapman, and it is the 5 love languages. And the contents are 1, what happens to love after the wedding? 2, keeping the love tank full. 3, falling in love. 4, love language number 1, words of affirmation. 5, love language number 2, quality time. 3, love language number 3, receiving gifts. 4, love language number 4, acts of service. 8, love language number 5, physical touch. 9, discovering your primary love language. 10, love is a choice. 11, love makes the difference. 12, loving the unlovely. 13, a personal word. So those are all the chapters. And then there's frequently asked questions and the profile for husbands and the profile for wives and notes. So right off the bat, like, I think just having 5 categories is probably not what I would do. Thank you, Mr. Mustachio. I think there's probably a million ways to have languages of love. But, why not talk about what everyone's talking about? Right, kitty cat? Yeah. Okay, so anyway, I decided to flip to 66, which is in the middle of chapter. What? 5, quality time. Love language number 2. I'm a big fan of quality time. Big fan. Kitty cat, do you want to say hi to everyone? I'll come give you a hug real quick before I dive into the reading. Yeah? I love you. I love you. I love you. You think you want to go outside, but it's so hot. Why don't you sit in my lap? Why don't you read the book with me? Yeah. I'm going to not read the book with you, Mommy. Well, thank you. Okay, so I like that I flipped to Dead Seas and Babbling Brooks because the Dead Sea is one of my favoriteest places in the whole entire world. It is amazing. So this is what Gary Chapman has to say about it. Dead Seas and Babbling Brooks. Not all of us are out of touch with our emotions, but when it comes to talking, all of us are affected by our personality. I have observed 2 basic personality types. The first I call the Dead Sea. In the little nation of Israel, the Sea of Galilee flows south by way of the Jordan River into the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea goes nowhere. It receives, but it does not give. The personality type receives many experiences, emotions, and thoughts throughout the day. They have a large reservoir where they store that information, and they are perfectly happy to not talk. If you say to a Dead Sea personality, "What's wrong? Why aren't you talking tonight?" he'll probably answer, "Nothing's wrong. What makes you think something's wrong?" And that response is perfectly honest. He is content not to talk. He could drive from Chicago to Detroit and never say a word and be perfectly happy. On the other extreme is the babbling brook. For this personality, whatever enters into the eye gate or the ear gate comes out the mouth gate, and there are seldom 60 seconds between the two. Whatever they see, whatever they hear, they tell. In fact, if no one is at home to talk to, they will call someone else. Baby, it's too hot out there. I saw you panting earlier. Perhaps I should call you a panther. Do you know what I saw? Do you know what I heard? If they can't get someone on the telephone, they may talk to themselves because they have no reservoir. Or they might become a YouTuber. Many times, a Dead Sea marries a babbling brook. That happens because when they are dating, it is a very attractive match. Excuse me, silly head. I might need to give you a snack, huh? We'll go out after I read. If you are a Dead Sea and you date a babbling brook, you will have a wonderful evening. I'm going to give you one more hug and see if you decide that you like the hug more than outside. Hold on. If you are a Dead Sea and you date a babbling brook, you will have a wonderful evening. You don't have to think, how will I get the conversation started tonight? How will I keep the conversation flowing? In fact, you don't have to think at all. Actually, Kitty is sometimes a babbling brook and sometimes she's a Dead Sea. Like the meditating video. All you have to do is nod your head and say, uh-huh. And she will fill up the whole evening and you will go home saying, what a wonderful person. On the other hand, if you are a babbling brook and you date a Dead Sea, you will have an equally wonderful evening because Dead Seas are the world's best listeners. You will babble for 3 hours. He will listen intently to you and you will go home saying, what a wonderful person. You attract each other. But 5 years after marriage, the babbling brook wakes up one morning and says, we've been married 5 years and I don't know him. The Dead Sea is saying, I know her too well. I wish she would stop the flow and give me a break. The good news is that Dead Seas can learn to talk and babbling brooks can learn to listen. We are influenced by our personality, but not controlled by it. Yeah. I mean, I would be okay with it, but she's been acting weird. Like, she's been like panting a little bit, and I just feel like today is just so hot. We'll go out together in a little bit. One way to learn new patterns is to establish a daily sharing time in which each of you will talk about 3 things that happened to you that day and how you feel about them. Kitty, what 3 things happened to you today? Yeah, what else? That sounds amazing. Anything else? Sounds like she got it all out. I call that the minimum daily requirement for a healthy marriage. If you will start with the daily minimum, in a few weeks or months, you may find quality conversation flowing more freely between you. Oh, you thought of something else? I love you too. Quality activities. Cutie pie. Cutie pie. She's standing and like doing this on the door. Like she's like, I'm talking about you and how cute you are and how much I love you. I swear her eyes look different the past few days. Can I show them your eyes? Can I show them your beautiful eyes? And I have a picture of it too. Like, she looks like an anime. And open your eyes for them. There you go. Look at your beautiful eyes. You look like a beautiful anime. Look how pretty you are. Look how pretty you are. Look at you. Okay. Do we want to read about who Gary Chapman is? He looks like a fine young chap. He is the author of the best-selling Five Love Languages series and the director of Marriage and Family Life Consultants and Company. He travels the world presenting seminars, and his radio programs air in more than 300 stations. So maybe we should go to the beginning of quality time. What time is it? 7:30 already? Because I just went into the middle of the chapter, and I feel like I'm not prepared to go on to quality activities because we didn't really cover quality time. So anyway, man, I tried. I am not lasting very well in that heat. Quality time should have picked up on Betty Jo's primary love language from the beginning. What was she saying on that spring day when I visited her and Bill in Little Rock? Bill is a good provider, but he doesn't spend any time with me. What good are all our things if we don't ever enjoy them together? What was her desire? Quality time with Bill. She wanted his attention. She wanted him to focus on her, to give her time to do things with her. By quality time, I mean giving someone your undivided attention. I don't mean sitting on the couch watching television together. When you spend time that way, ABC or NBC has your attention, not your spouse. What I mean is sitting on the couch with the TV off, looking at each other and talking, giving each other your individual attention. It means taking a walk, just the two of you, or going out to eat and looking at each other and talking. Have you ever noticed that in a restaurant, you can almost always tell the difference between a dating couple and a married couple? Dating couples look at each other and talk. Hi, hi, hi. Married couples sit there and gaze around the restaurant. You'd think they went there to eat. When I sit with my wife and give her 20 minutes of my undivided attention, you go, girl, and she does the same for me, we are giving each other 20 minutes of life. We will never have those 20 minutes again. We are giving our lives to each other. It is a powerful emotional communication of love. Get it, kitty cat. Go get it. That's what she wants to play. Get it, girl. Who's that? One medicine cannot cure all diseases. In my advice to Bill and Betty Jo, I made a serious mistake. I assumed that words of affirmation would mean as much to Betty Jo as they would to Bill. I had hoped that if each of them would give adequate verbal affirmation, the emotional climate would change, and both of them would begin to feel loved. It worked for Bill. He began to feel more positive about Betty Jo. He began to sense genuine appreciation for his hard work. But it had not worked as well for Betty Jo. For words of affirmation was not her primary love language. Her language was quality time. Quality time? Is that what you want, baby? Are you going to get this? Are you going to get that? Are you going to get this? Go get it. Go get it, girl. Good girl. I got back on the phone and thanked Bill for his efforts in the past 2 months. Get it, girl. Get it, girl. Sorry about that. I told him that he had done a good job of verbally affirming Betty Joe and that she had heard his affirmations. But Dr. Chapman, he said, she is still not very happy. I don't think things are much better for her. Betty girl, get it. You are right, I said. Get it, girl. And I think I know why. Yeah, girl. Woohoo! Um, the problem is that I suggested the wrong love language. Hey, Sherry. Did you hear that? That sounded like she said something. She was like, he's a really girlfriend. Bill hadn't the foggiest idea what I meant. I explained that what makes one person feel loved emotionally is not always the thing that makes another person feel loved emotionally. Thank you, Jeffrey. Get it, girl. Get it, girl. He agreed that his language was words of affirmation. Come on up here. He told me how much that had meant to him as a boy and how good he felt when Betty Joe expressed appreciation for the things he did. I explained that Betty Joe's language was not words of affirmation, but quality time. I explained the concept of giving someone your undivided attention, not talking to her while you read the newspaper or watch television, but looking her in the eyes, giving her your full attention, doing something with her that she enjoys doing, and doing it wholeheartedly. Like going to the symphony with her, he said. I could tell the lights were coming on in Little Rock. She's quiet. Dr. Chapman, that is what she has always complained about. I didn't do things with her. I didn't spend any time with her. We used to go places and do things before we were married, she said. But now you're too busy. That's her love language, all right. No question about it. But what am I going to do? My job is so demanding. Tell me about it, I said. For the next 10 minutes, he gave me the history of his climbing up the organizational ladder, of how hard he had worked and how proud he was of his accomplishments. He told me of his dreams for the future and that he knew that within the next 5 years, he would be where he wanted to be. Do you want to be there alone or do you want to be there with Betty Joe and the children? I asked. I want her to be with me, Dr. Chapman. I want her to enjoy it with me. That's why it always hurts so much when she criticizes me for spending time on the job. I'm doing it for us. I wanted her to be a part of it, but she's always so negative. Are you beginning to see why she's so negative, Bill? I asked. Her love language is quality time. You have given her so little time that her. Come on up here. Come on up here, you silly kitty. Come on up here. Come on, join me. Everyone loves you. And I'll give you more food after the reading. Are you beginning to see you have given her so little time that her love tank is empty. Her love language is quality time. She doesn't feel secure in your love. Therefore, she has lashed out at what was taking your time in her mind, your job. She doesn't really hate your job. She hates the fact that she feels so little love coming from you. There's only one answer, Bill, and it's costly. You have to make time for Betty Joe. You have to love her in the right love language. I know you're right, Dr. Chapman. Where do I begin? Hello, Kevin Diesel. My love language is, let's make up our own languages. My love language is, What is kitty cat? What are you doing, baby? Baby, you're being. Oh, okay. Yeah, go to the bathroom here. Oh, she's meowing so much. Anyway. No, my love language, I feel like people who like finishing projects, like people who want to finish things, like stick to itness. Um, wait, did I lose where I was? I know you're right, Dr. Chapman. Where do I begin? Do you have your legal pad handy? The one in which we made the list of positive things about Betty Jo? It's right here. Good. We're going to make another list. What are some things that you know Betty Jo would like you to do with her? Things she has mentioned through the years. Here's Bill's list. Spend weekends in the mountains, sometimes with the children, sometimes just the two of us. Meet her for lunch at a nice restaurant or sometimes even at McDonald's. Get a babysitter and take her out to dinner, just the two of us. When I come home at night, sit down and talk with her about my day and listen as she tells me about her day. She doesn't want me to watch TV while we're trying to talk. Duh. Thanks for the thumbs up. Spend time talking with the children about their school experiences. Spend time playing games with the children. Go on a picnic. You ready to hang out with her and the children on Saturday and don't complain about the ants and the flies? Take a vacation with the family at least once a year and go walking with her and talk as we walk. Oh my goodness. So demanding. I would not be able to be with Betty Jo. I'd be like, girl, I don't have time for vacation. I gotta go on tour with the Flying Penguins. You go, girl. But then again, I probably spend just as much quality time with kitty cats. So I'm good. I'm good. I'm in training. Those are the things she has talked about through the years, he said. You know what I'm going to suggest? Don't you, Bill? Do them, he said. That's right. One a week for the next 2 months. Where will you find the time? You will make it. You're a wise man, I continued. You would not be where you are if you were not a good decision maker. You have the ability to plan your life and to include Betty Jo in your plans. I know, he said. I can do it. And Bill, this does not have to diminish your vocational goals. Oop, we're about to have an ad here. It just means that when you get to the top, Betty Jo and the children will be with you. That's what I want more than anything. Whether I'm at the top or not, I want her to be happy and I want to enjoy life with her and the children. The years have come and gone. Bill and Betty Jo have gone to the top and back. But the important thing is that they have done it together. The children have left the nest, and Bill and Betty Jo agree that these are the best years ever. Bill has become an avid symphony fan, and Betty Jo has made an unending list in her legal pad of things she appreciates about Bill. He never tires of hearing them. He has now started his own company and is nearing the top again. His job is no longer a threat to Betty Jo. She is excited about it and encourages him. She knows that she is number one in his life. Her love tank is full, and if it begins to get empty, she knows that a simple request on her part will get Bill's undivided attention. The love tank, the love tank. Ow! All right. The next part is focused attention. I will be right back with focused attention. I'll open the door for you, honey. You can just like hang at the door, cutie pie. How you feeling today, everyone? Did you miss Qigong yesterday? Did you do your own practice? Well, I've got a great class planned for tomorrow, including this move. Wait. guess what it's for. I'm not going to tell you till tomorrow. Okay, focused attention. It isn't enough to just be in the same room with someone. A key ingredient in giving your spouse quality time is giving them focused attention, especially in this era of many distractions. When a father is sitting on the floor, rolling a ball to his 2-year-old, his attention is not focused on the ball, but on his child. And not taking pictures of the child, but the child. For that brief moment, however long it lasts, they are together. If, however, the father is talking on the phone while he rolls the ball, his attention is diluted. Some husbands and wives think they are spending time together when in reality, they're only living in close proximity. They are in the same house at the same time, but they are not together. A wife who is texting while her husband tries to talk to her is not giving him quality time because he does not have her full attention. Quality time does not mean that we have to spend our time together, moments gazing into each other's eyes. Does not mean we have to spend our together moments gazing into each other's eyes. Hi, come on up here. Come on up here, cutie pie. Come on up here. Let's compromise. Where am I? It means that we are doing something together and that we are giving our full attention to the other person. The activity in which we are both engaged is incidental. The important thing emotionally is that we are spending focused time with each other. The activity is a vehicle that creates the sense of togetherness. The important thing about the father rolling the ball to the 2-year-old is not the activity itself, but the emotions that are created between the father and his child. Similarly, a husband and wife playing tennis together, if it is genuine quality time, will focus not on the game, but on the fact that they are spending time together. What happens on the emotional level is what matters. Our spending time together in a common pursuit communicates that we care about each other, that we enjoy being with each other, that we like to do things together. Quality conversation is the next title of the section. Yeah, I mean, I really do appreciate my friends who get me to step away from my work and have more quality time, like a social life. Thank you, people who do that. Hi, hi, hi. She's pretty demanding. She knows what she wants. All right, quality conversation, like words of affirmation. The language of quality time also has many dialects. One of the most common dialects is that of quality conversation. By quality conversation, I mean sympathetic dialogue where two individuals are sharing their experiences, thoughts, feelings, and desires in a friendly, uninterrupted context. Most individuals who complain that their spouse does not talk do not mean literally that he or she never says a word. They mean that he or she seldom takes part in sympathetic dialogue. Sympathetic dialogue. If your spouse's primary love language is quality time, such dialogue is crucial to his or her emotional sense of being loved. Quality conversation is quite different from the first love language. Words of affirmation focus on what we are saying. I'm sorry, she's whining so much. Baby! Words of affirmation focus on what we are saying, whereas quality conversation focuses on what we are hearing. My quality time is eating crickets, not whatever you're serving me, Mommy. Come back soon. I have given in. I have given in. You know. What can I say? If someone wants to be a cat friend, I have a friend who needs someone to adopt a couple of amazing cats who I would love to adopt, but unless I move somewhere with more space, that's not going to happen. But they're exotic cats that need wild friends like Tiger Lily. All right. So, where was I? If I am sharing my love for you by means of quality time, and we are going to spend that time in conversation, it means I will focus on drawing you out, listening sympathetically to what you have to say. I will ask questions, not in a badgering manner, but with a genuine desire to understand your thoughts, feelings, and hopes. I met Patrick when he was 43 and had been married for 17 years. I remember him because his first words were so dramatic. He sat in the leather chair in my office, and after briefly introducing himself, he leaned forward and said with great emotion, "Dr. Chapman, I have been a fool, a real fool." I hear you, man. It is definitely the language of a lot of people, Kevin. Um, I repeated my original question. In what way have you been a fool? My wife would come home from work and tell me about the problems in her office. I would listen to her and then tell her what I thought she should do. I always gave her advice. I told her she had to confront the problem. Problems don't go away. You have to talk with people involved or your supervisor. You have to deal with the problem. The next day, she would come home from work and tell me about the same problems. I would ask her if she did what I had suggested the day before. She would shake her sad head and say no. So I'd repeat my advice. I told her that that was the way to deal with the situation. She would come home the next day and tell me about the same problem. Again, I would ask her if she had done what I suggested, and she'd shake her head and say no. After 3 or 4 nights of that, I would get angry. That's how I feel when I tell people they should eat radishes and they don't. Because it's like they complain about stuffy noses and not being able to breathe and allergies. And I'm like, just stay away from sugar and eat radishes. I'm serious. Clean your blood. Meh. I would tell her not to expect any sympathy from me if she was not willing to take the advice I was giving her. Tyrants. She didn't have to live under that kind of stress and pressure. She could solve the problem if she would simply do what I told her, and it hurt me to see her living under such stress because I knew she didn't have to. The next time she'd bring up the problem, I would say, "I don't want to hear about it. I've told you what you need to do. If you're not going to listen to my advice, I don't want to hear it." I would withdraw and go about my business. Now I realize that she didn't want my advice when she told me about her struggles at work. She wanted sympathy, yada, yada, yada. She wanted me to listen, to give her attention, to let her know that I could understand the hurt, the stress, the pressure. I will say sometimes we put ourselves in situations that are hurtful because it's all we know. And compassion is what you need before you can change. Hmm. Yeah. Get a blunt roller like Snoop Dogg. I did a video about that. All right. Where am I? She wanted to know that I loved her. Excuse me. And that I was with her. She didn't want advice. She just wanted to know that I understood. But I never tried to understand. I was too busy giving advice. And now she is gone. Why can't you see these things when you're going through them? He asked. I was blind to what was going on. Only now do I understand how I failed her. Patrick's wife had been pleading for quality conversation. Emotionally, she longed for him to focus attention on her by listening to her pain and frustration. Patrick was not focusing on listening, but on speaking. He listened only long enough to hear the problem and formulate a solution. He didn't listen long enough or well enough to hear her cry for support and understanding. Many of us are like Patrick. We are trained to analyze problems and create solutions. We forget that marriage is a relationship, not a project to be completed or a problem to solve. A relationship calls for sympathetic listening with a view to understanding the other person's thoughts, feelings, and desires. We must be willing to give advice, but only when it is requested and never in a condescending manner. Most of us have little training in listening. We are far more efficient in thinking and speaking. Learning to listen may be as difficult as learning a foreign language, but learn we must if we want to communicate love. This is especially true if your spouse's primary love language is quality time and his or her dialect is a quality conversation, as opposed to just going, ugh, eh, ugh. Fortunately, numerous books and articles have been written on developing the art of listening. I will not seek to repeat what is written elsewhere, but suggest the following summary of practical tips. 1. Maintain eye contact when your spouse is talking. That keeps your mind from wandering and communicates that he or she has your full attention. I wouldn't stare, though, and make them feel uncomfortable. Don't listen to your spouse and do something else at the same time. Remember, quality time is giving someone your undivided attention. If you're doing something you cannot turn from immediately, tell your spouse the truth. A positive approach might be, I know you're trying to talk to me and I'm interested, but I want to give you my full attention. I can't do that right now. But if you'll give me 10 minutes to finish this, I'll sit down and listen to you. Most spouses will respect such a request. And friends. Snoop has a team of 3 giant dudes who compliment him once and handed him one after another. They're always gone at some point. He didn't give me enough attention. No, not Patrick. Listen for feelings. Ask yourself, what emotion is my spouse experiencing? I love how this is just for married couples. Anyway, I say friends too, right? When you think you have the answer, confirm it. For example, it sounds to me like you're feeling disappointed because I forgot. That gives him the chance to clarify his feelings. It also communicates that you are listening intently to what he is saying. 4. Observe body language. Clenched fists, trembling hands, tears, furrowed brows, and eye movement may give you clues as to what the other is feeling. Sometimes body language speaks one message, while words speak another. Ask for clarification to make sure you know what she is really thinking and feeling. Refuse to interrupt. That's 5. Recent research has indicated that the average individual listens for only 17 seconds before interrupting and interjecting his own ideas. Oh, that'd be a good length for videos. If I give you my undivided attention while you are talking, I will refrain from defending myself or hurling accusations at you or dogmatically stating my position. My goal is to discover your thoughts and feelings. My objective is not to defend myself or to set you straight. It is to understand you. Learning to talk. Quality conversation requires not only sympathetic listening, but also self-revelation. When a wife says, I wish my husband would talk, I never know what he's thinking or feeling, she is pleading for intimacy. She wants to feel close to her husband, but how can she feel close to someone whom she doesn't know? In order for her to feel loved, he must learn to reveal himself. If her primary love language is quality time and her dialect is quality conversation, her emotional love tank will never be filled until he tells her his thoughts and his feelings. Self revelation does not come easy for some of us. Many adults grew up in homes where the expression of thoughts and feelings was not encouraged but condemned. The to requested toy was to receive a lecture on the sad state of family finances. The child went away feeling guilty for having the desire. And he quickly learned not to express his desires. When he expressed anger, the parents responded with harsh and condemning words. Thus, the child learned that expressing angry feelings is not appropriate. If the child was made to feel guilty for expressing disappointment at not being able to go to the store with his father, he learned to hold his disappointment inside. By the time we reach adulthood, many of us have learned to deny our feelings. We are no longer in touch with our emotional selves. Denial speaks louder than word noise, and truth is deeper than. Anyway, a wife says to her husband, "How did you feel about what Steve did?" And the husband responds, "I think he was wrong. He should have dot dot dot." But he's not telling her his feelings. He is voicing his thoughts. Perhaps he has reason to feel angry, hurt, or disappointed. But he has lived so long in the world of thought that he does not acknowledge his feelings. When he decides to learn the language of quality conversation, it will be like learning a foreign language. The place to begin is by getting in touch with his feelings, becoming aware that he has an emotional creature in spite. He is an emotional creature in spite of the fact that he has denied that part of his life. Comment section. What? That is not true, Mr. Mustachio. Um, Having a phone on lockdown. That's a red flag. No, it's written by a guy, Kevin. Gary Chapman. Um, but I do hear you that there are some other theories that it's it's you know feeling is not what a guy should do or something like that. Anyway, if you need to learn the language of quality conversation, begin by noting the emotions you feel away from home. Carry a small notepad and keep it with you daily. 3 times each day, ask yourself, what emotions have I felt in the last 3 hours? What did I feel on the way to work when the driver behind me was riding my bumper? What did I feel when I stopped at the gas station and the automatic pump didn't shut off and the side of the car was covered in gas? Has that happened? What did I feel when I got to the office and found that the project I was working on had to be completed in 3 days when I thought I had another 2 weeks? Yikes. Write down your feelings in the notepad and a word or two to help you remember the event corresponding to the feeling. Your list might look like this: event, tailgater, feeling angry. Event, gas station, feeling very upset. Event, work project due in 3 days, feeling frustrated and anxious. That's good because I believe there's a reaction time with feelings when you don't acknowledge them in the moment. Like they do come up later, but yeah. Do that exercise 3 times a day and you'll develop an awareness of your emotional nature. I like that. Well, Kevin, maybe you came to some live reading because you didn't want to read yourself and you wanted me to read to you. But yeah, there you go. 3 times a day and exercise. So, do you guys want to try it right now? And then communicate your emotions with someone. You want to try communicating with me? Practice 3 events that happened today and emotions that it came with. I'll start. The heat was more dramatic than I expected, and I felt challenged even doing a grocery shopping gig for someone. How did I feel? I felt, um, how did I feel emotionally? Hmm, I mean, I felt maybe a little overwhelmed with how hot it was. Overwhelmed. Yeah, I think I felt overwhelmed. Okay, two, I saw a beautiful locust this morning, and I took a video actually, and I felt in awe. I just felt so amazed. Number three, Key Cat was meowing a lot to go out, and I really wanted her to stay in, and that stressed me out because I just know that she's safer inside sometimes. What about you? Three things and how you felt about it. Comments below, please. All right. Um, but that did feel vulnerable. I'm like, did I really want to share that? That's so personal. Are you gonna judge me? All right. Using your notepad, communicate your emotions and the events briefly with your spouse or your mama penguin as many days as possible. Just comment on my random videos, guys, with your three events and your three feelings, like randomly, like all of my videos. In a few weeks, so do this for 3 weeks straight, every day, okay? And now an ad is about to come on. And make sure you put an emoji in there too. In a few weeks, you will become comfortable expressing your emotions with him or her, and eventually you will feel comfortable discussing your emotions towards your spouse, the children, and events that occur within the home. Remember, emotions themselves are neither good nor bad. They are simply our psychological responses to the events of life. Based on our thoughts and emotions, we eventually make decisions. When the tailgater was following you on the highway and you felt angry, perhaps you had these thoughts. I wish he would lay off. I wish he would pass me. If I thought I wouldn't get caught, I'd press the accelerator and leave him in the twilight. I should slam on my brakes and let his insurance company buy me a new car. Maybe I'll pull off the road and let him pass. Eventually, you made some decision or the other driver backed off, turned, or passed you. I guess it hasn't happened to me in a really long time, thank goodness. But it's so scary when people do that. You arrived safely at work. Um, in each other's life events, we have emotions. In each of life's events, we have emotions, thoughts, desires, and eventually actions. It is the expression of that process that we call self revelation. If you choose to learn the love dialect of quality conversation, that is the learning road you must follow. All right. So then we're up to the Dead Seas and babbling brooks. We circle back around to where we started in being a Dead Sea, absorbing all of this energy. Oh, there's nothing like soaking in that salt sea. That changed my life. I went to Israel by myself when I was 12. I was sent there as an experiment. If she comes back alive, we'll go as a family. And I came back alive. So we went as a family the next year. And I got to say, being by myself was way more fun. It was just the Dead Sea that I went to with, well, different family members that I met there was just so much nicer than the Dead Sea we went to as a family. I don't know, we must have gone to a different part of it. It just, the part that I went to was like all salt, and the part that we went as a family like had some rocks in it. It's just so much more magical to be in a pool of salt sand instead of rocks. Oh my gosh. Felt so good. All right, so We did a chapter. We probably should have started from the beginning, but and we didn't do the whole chapter. So, you know what? There's only two more pages for the chapter. So basically, you can go back to the beginning to hear the Dead Seas and Babbling Brooks idea, which is like blah blah blah. One's a babbling brook that talks a lot. One's a dead sea that doesn't talk a lot, and that's okay. And then we're going to end with quality activities. But first, I'm going to read your comments. Engage with my channel, up my numbers, move, move, move. I'm not happy that my ex stole all of my DVDs. You're just gonna have to rip some movies off of YouTube, I guess, with those, downloaders that are perfectly kosher. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. All right. Last 2 pages of this chapter, and then if you liked this reading and you want me to read the whole thing from the beginning, or at least more of it, or a certain chapter, maybe you started reading it and got stuck on a chapter, let me know. And I will do my best. And the reason why, I think someone gave me this at a birthday in the past, maybe that's why it's like in my life again, because it was my birthday yesterday. So I'm like remembering birthday presents that I've never cracked open. All right, so here we go. Quality activities, the end of the chapter about quality time. In addition to the basic love language of quality time or giving your spouse your undivided attention, there is another dialect called quality activities. At a recent marriage seminar, I asked couples to complete the following sentence. I feel most loved by my husband, wife, when dot, 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 dot. And you can do this about a parent. You can do this about a friend. Here's the response of a 29-year-old husband who has been married for 8 years. I feel most loved by my wife when we do things together. Things I like to do and things she likes to do. We talk more. It sort of feels like we're dating again. That is a typical response of individuals whose primary love language is quality time. The emphasis is on being together, doing things together, giving each other undivided attention. Quality activities. Okay, so this is like, it's a little bit weird to me because it's like, it almost seems like quality time is like an obvious thing that you do when you love someone. So, like, why wouldn't people do that? I don't understand. All right, anyway, quality activities may include anything in which one or both of you have an interest. The emphasis is not on what you're doing, but on why you're doing it. The purpose is to experience something together, to walk away from it feeling, he cares about me. He was willing to do something with me that I enjoy. And he did it with a positive attitude. That is love. And for some people, it is love's loudest voice. Oh. One of Emily's favorite pastimes is browsing in bookshops, from sprawling superstars to a hole in the wall used book dealers. Husband Jeff, less of an avid reader, sounds like you, Kevin, has learned to share these experiences with Emily and even point out books she might enjoy. Emily, for her part, has learned to compromise and not force Jeff to spend hours in the stacks. As a result, Jeff proudly says, I vowed early on that if there was a book Emily wanted, I would buy it for her. Jeff may never become a bookworm, but he has become proficient at loving Emily. Quality activities may include such things as putting in a garden, visiting historic neighborhoods. What about helping someone move? Shopping for antiques, going to a concert, taking long walks, or having another couple over for homemade soup and bread. Not lobster. Don't even think about lobster. The activities are limited only by your interest and willingness to try new experiences. The essential ingredient in a quality activity are 1, at least one of you wants to do it. What? I think we should always do something that we both don't want to do. 2, the other is willing to do it. And 3, Both of you know why you are doing it. Sounds like acting class. To express love by being together. One of the byproducts of quality activities is that they provide a memory bank from which to draw in the years ahead. Fortunate is the couple who remembers an early morning stroll along the coast, the spring they planted the flower garden, the time they got poison ivy chasing the rabbit through the woods, the night they attended their first Major League Baseball game together, the one and only time they went skiing together and he broke his leg, the amusement parks, the concerts, the cathedrals, and, oh yes, the awe of standing beneath the waterfall after the 2-mile hike. They can almost feel the mist as they remember. I was totally feeling the mist as I was remembering the waterfall. Those are memories of love, especially for the person whose primary love language is quality time. And if it's your love language, you probably spend a lot of quality time alone too. Getting ready to do a video about that or edit it. And where do we find time for such activities, especially if both of us have vocations outside of the home or are flat broke, right? We make time just as we make time for lunch and dinner. Who knows I don't make time for lunch. Why? Because it is just as essential to our marriage as meals are to our health. Is it difficult? Does it take careful planning? Yeah. Does it mean we have to give up some individual activities? Maybe. Does it mean we have to do some things we don't particularly enjoy? Certainly. Is it worth it? Without a doubt. What's in it for me? The pleasure of living with a person who feels loved and knowing that I have learned to speak his or her love language fluently. Interesting ideas, Gary. A personal word of thanks to Bill and Betty Joe in Little Rock, who taught me the value of love language number 1, words of affirmation, and the love language number 2, quality time. Now it's on to Chicago. Chicago. And love language number 3. All right, if you want me to read about Chicago, let me know in the comments, and we will go there in chapter 6. If you want me to read this from the beginning, let me know in the comments, and we aim to please. Am I wanting to read the whole book now? Maybe if I could share it with you, if I get in my babbling brook mode and my Dead Sea mode simultaneously, so I can absorb the fresh, salty words of Gary Chapman. All right, I will end with some of these comments. We've got now scallops. Yeah, why not scallops? I don't even know. Hunger Games 1 and 2. See, you're looking on YouTube. Why not? Who needs the DVDs? Strippers. Okay, well, you can't generalize, Mr. Mustachio, but it sounds like you got a lot of experience with strippers. Not that I'm judging. All right. You should totally read the whole book for content purposes. I used to do it with men better than women on a different channel. Hugh Hefner. Write my own book. I did. It's called Scribble Soup. Have you seen the videos? All right, beautiful people. I just wanted to give you some love. Haven't done a live reading in forever. And Kitty Cat said she would do it with me, but then she changed her mind. So it's all good. And love to all of you. Tap on your forehead. And I'll see you in class at 1:30 tomorrow. The theme is getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Get smart. That's right. She certainly did, Mr. Mustachio. All right. I'll catch you tomorrow at 1:30. Hope to see you there. Bye.